Friends, welcome to Affairs Cloud Learn to Lead. This is Ashu, and today we will discuss very important current affairs of 7th of November 2020. You can see the two best pictures of the day, but today we will discuss 5 to 6 very important current affairs of the 7th of November. But before proceeding, I want to discuss about our current affairs subscription, that you can buy our current affairs subscription for the 1 year, that is from starting from the Jan 2020 to December 2020. That is the full year subscription. And what you will get in the subscription, you will get the daily PDF, you will get the weekly PDF. As you can say, this is the August weekly current affairs and arranged according to the week wise. And there is a weekly test according to the weekly current affairs. The weekly test is arranged, and it is very important to evaluate yourself. And there is a monthly PDF section, and you will get the 5 monthly PDFs. One is related to the current affairs of the month, that is the simple PDF. Second is the question and answer PDF. It means you will get all the current affairs in the form of question and answer, so that you can attempt and revise and retain the current affairs. Third, that is the pocket PDF. As the name suggests, it is very important to revise all the current affairs very quickly. Fourth is the banking, finance and the economy PDF. It is very useful for the banking aspirant students. And last but not the least, that is the question and answer PDF. That is the top 100 questions of the month in the form of the question and answer. This is again very important. So guys, this all subscription basically comes at very minimal price. If you see the price, you will surprised to see the price. And how you can buy this subscription, there are two methods. You can visit our website, that is affairscloud/current affair, or you can directly go to the subscription area by this link below this video. It means in the description video there is a link of the subscription. You can directly click on that link and you will directly reach to the subscription area. And on that minimal cost, we are providing you 10% extra discount, guys. If you use this code ASH10, then we are providing you 10% extra discount. Now let's start 7th of November 2020 current affairs, and here is our first question. Which country conducts tri-service combat exercise, that is the bull strike? Now main keyword is the bull strike at Teresa Island. Now another most important question is, where is this Teresa Island? Second is bull strike. This is the tri-service combat. It means this exercise includes all the three units of the basically you can say the defense, that is the army, navy, and you can say the air. It means all the three basic units of the defense is included under this exercise. So guys, this is very important, and I am answering the first question, that is, where is the Teresa Island? It is in the Nicobar. It means it is in the Andaman and Nicobar. And if you are if you want to specify, then Teresa Island in specifically it is in the Nicobar group of islands. And remember this, guys. And it included all the three services. I already told you that army, navy and the air force, to maximize combat potential. So this is the main importance of this bull strike. And this is the India, guys, because I told you that Teresa Island, it means it is in the Andaman Nicobar. And where is Andaman Nicobar? That is the India. So remember this. So many things in this tri-service combat practiced. One is related to the search and rescue, medical evacuations. Procedures were also practiced by the participating troops. So remember, this time it is India. And remember this keyword, that is the bull strike. So you can see here, that is India conducts tri-service combat exercise bull strike in the Andaman Nicobar Islands. So you can see here, Andaman and Nicobar Island conducted a 3-day tri-service combat exercise named as the bull strike. Second is the Teresa Island in the Nicobar group of islands. And third is this involves all the three units of the defense, that is army, navy and the air force, guys. So remember this news. This is marked under very important section because it is related to the all the three defense units. And remember, Chief of Defense Staff, it means all the three units. Chief of Defense Staff is the General Bipin Rawat. And who is the Commander of Chief for all the Indian Armed Forces? That is the President of India. So remember these things. Very important, guys. Move to next question. Who chaired Virtual Global Investor Roundtable 2020 conference? Now main keyword in this news is the Global Investor Roundtable conference. And this is chaired by, it means addressed by, that is the Narendra Modi ji. Remember, the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, chaired Global Investor Roundtable 2020 conference. Now, out of this Global Investor Roundtable, what India will get? India will get the investment. It means India want to increase the investment so that the slowdown due to COVID-19 can be overcome and maximum to maximum investment can be achieved. So that's why Narendra Modi ji attended, or you can say the chaired Global Investor Roundtable conference. You can see here, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi will address the virtual Global Investor Roundtable Conference. And it is why it is organized. It is just to attract the investment in India, because India want to achieve the 5 trillion economy target till 2024-25. It means this is the dream of Indian economy, that India will achieve this target of the $5 trillion economy by the year 2024-25. And if it focus on the discussion and India economy and investment outlook, structure reforms, and the government vision for making the country $5 trillion economy. Now, this virtual Global Investor Summit 2020 is organized by Ministry of Finance, guys. All you know, that is the Nirmala Sitharaman ji, and National Investment and Infrastructure Fund. Now, most important organization here is the National Investment and Infrastructure Fund. Who is basically the managing director and CEO of this organization? That is the National Investment and Infrastructure Fund Limited. That is the Sujay Ghosh. So remember, this is important, guys. Sujay Bose. Remember this, important, and headquarters of this organization is the Mumbai, Maharashtra. So I am repeating again, who is the head of the National Investment and Infrastructure Board? That is the managing director and CEO. That is the Sujay Bose. And who is basically where is the headquarters of this organization? That is in the Mumbai, Maharashtra. So remember, this is very important, and this meeting is attended by the Ministry of Finance, that is Nirmala Sitharaman ji, and also the governor of the RBI, that is Shaktikant Das, because it is related to the economy section. So that's why these two personalities of the Indian economy attended these meetings. So remember this. So guys, let's move to the next question. Who signed MOU with NTPC Vidut Vyapar Nigam, that is NVVN, subsidiary of NTPC, to set up solar power plants in airports? So it means they are setting up the solar power plants in the airports, and who is setting up basically? That is the NVVN. NVVN stands for the NTPC Vidut Vyapar Nigam. And who is basically signed the MOU for this company for setting up the solar power plants in airports? And this time it is the guys this is the Airport Authority of India. Remember, Airport Authority of India want to set up some solar power plants on the airports, and they are basically starting these projects from the two main areas of the airports of the state, like Tamil Nadu and the Rajasthan. So Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan on the pilot basis, but it will cover all the India and all the major airports of India. That is the Airport Authority of India. And who is basically the chairman of Airport Authority of India? Very important question, guys. Remember this. That is the Arvind Singh. Arvind Singh. He is currently the chairman of the Airport Authority of India. You can see in the picture, Airport Authority of India signs tie-up with the NTPC for the setting up solar power plants at the airports. You can see in the picture that NVVN will take up projects at the airports of Tamil Nadu and Rajasthan. Initially, it will be started in the two states, but it will cover all pan India after this demo project or the pilot basis. In the identified Airport Authority of India's airport, it means not all the airports, but some identified airports, required land and the rooftop space to set up power plants, solar power plants, will be provided to NVVN free of cost. It means it will be provided to NVVN at a free of cost, but NVVN will set up these solar power plants to the airports. And Airport Authority of India and NVVN will support the Government of India initiative to adopt e-vehicle policy. It means they will also enhancing the green housing project or the green projects at the airport also level. So this is very important, guys. Remember, at airport level, they are enhancing the green projects also. So this is very important, mark under important section. And what are the important things? One is the Airport Authority of India. I already told you who is the chairman. That is the Arvind Singh. And no need to remember headquarter, all knows that is the New Delhi, so examiner will not ask the headquarter. And second important is the NTPC Vidut Vyapar Nigam. Again, the headquarter is New Delhi, but no need to remember the CEO of the NTPC Vidut Vyapar Nigam. That is the Mohit Bhargava, but no need to remember because it is a burden, extra burden on you. So just mark the important section. Why I am here for you guys? Because you can read the news from the site also, but I am here so that you can segregate what is important in the news and what is not important in that news. So 2 or 3 keywords I always tell you that this under this news, these keywords are important. In every news I am telling you that these keywords are important. So remember these keywords. This is important. Move to next question. Which center in Kerala is set to become world's largest care and cure center for elephants? Now we are talking about the elephant areas, so that it becomes the world largest care and cure center for the elephants, guys. So very important, and state is very important, that is the Kerala. And this center, or you can say rehabilitation center in the Kerala, is that is the Kothur Elephant Rehabilitation Center. Kothur, or the Kothur Elephant Rehabilitation Center, and it is in the Trivandrum in Kerala. It is being upgraded to international standard and is set to become the world largest care and cure center for elephants. The upgradation of center is a part of special program of the government of Kerala for the protection and conservation of elephants. By the name, you can basically tell that it is the care and cure center for the elephants. That's why it is for the protection and conservation of the elephants. Even the Kerala Infrastructure Investment Fund also investing so much money. It means they are funding so much money, that is almost about 108 crore rupees they are funding for this project. So very big amount by the Kerala Infrastructure Investment Fund. So remember, Kothur Elephant Rehabilitation. And Kerala is, guys, very important, because in Kerala there is a Silent Valley National Park, there is a Periyar National Park, there is also one more, that is the Iravikulam National Park. All are very important, guys. Remember these three. And there's a peak, that is the Anaimudi peak. It is the highest peak on the Western Ghats. So remember this also. So these are very important things about Kerala. And you have to remember that this Kerala Infrastructure Investment Board is headed by the Chief Minister of the Kerala, and that is the Pinarani Vijayan. So remember this also. Kothur Elephant Rehabilitation. So you can see in the picture, Kothur Elephant Rehabilitation Center set to become largest care center in the world. And it is very important because it is in the world. Kothur Elephant Rehabilitation Center in Trivandrum is being upgraded to international standard. And the upgradation of the center is a part of special program of the government of Kerala for protection and conservation of elephants. Already told you so many things. And remember, Project Elephant was also started in India during the time period of Congress government, and at that time period Prime Minister was P.V. Narasimha Rao, and the Finance Minister was Shri Manmohan Singh ji. And this Project Elephant was launched in 1992, guys. Project Elephant was launched in 1992. Now moving to next question. You can see the question, who launched Project Future Ready? Now it is again important, Project Future Ready, to impart career skills to 1 lakh students. It means they just want to impart the digital skills to these students, and they are targeting 1 lakh students in India, so that maximum to maximum skills can be created, maximum to maximum digital India can be created. So it is just for the for providing the digital skills and making the generation future ready. This is the main purpose of this organization. And this time, this organization is not a Microsoft, not a Google. It is the Indian organization, that is the National Skill Development Corporation. Remember, National Skill Development Corporation is basically starting a project named as the Project Future Ready to impart career skills to 1 lakh students. It means they are targeting over 1 lakh students, and they are focusing on the two major areas of India, that is the Mumbai and Delhi NCR. And the Delhi NCR, of which 60% of the are females. It means the focus mainly on the self-dependency of the females. So it also leads to the women empowerment also. So you can see here, to impart career skills into 1 lakh students, NSDC launches Project Future Ready. And it is with so many organizations who are participating, but no need to remember all the organizations, just remember NSDC. And who is the head, MD and CEO of the NSDC? Headquarter, all you know, that is the New Delhi. MD and CEO is the Manish Kumar. Remember Manish Kumar. If you revise 2 or 3 times, then you will definitely remind the answer. That is very important. NSDC launches Project Future Ready. I repeated 3 times, guys. So this is important. National Skill Development Corporation, in partnership with American India Foundation, Dell Technologies, and University of Mumbai, has launched Project Future Ready to equip students with career skills. I already told you this news is related to the providing the skills. The project will cover almost 1 lakh students in Mumbai and the Delhi NCR, under which 60% will be the females. So remember this also, because it is also creating the woman empowerment and also the woman employment, so that women can be made self-sufficient. This is the main target. So moving to next question, guys. Which country signed MOU with Serum Institute of India? Most important institute at that time due to COVID-19, that is highlighted institute, Serum Institute of India, to buy 3 crore doses of AZD 1222 COVID-19 vaccine. That is the name of the vaccine. If you want to remember, then you can remember. Otherwise, it is not important. The important is the name of the country and the institute, that is the Serum Institute of India. And this time, this is a country that is a neighborhood country, Bangladesh, guys. Remember, Bangladesh shares maximum boundary with India, that is 4096 kilometer. Bangladesh, out of the 7 neighboring countries in under which India is sharing land boundary with 7 countries, Bangladesh is sharing maximum boundary with India, that is the 4096 kilometer. And guys, let's move to the news. That is Serum Institute of India to buy 3 crore doses of AZ COVID-19 vaccine, and it means Serum Institute of India will provide 3 crore vaccines to the Bangladesh. And there is one more institute of the Bangladesh, but you can see here Bangladesh signs MOU with Indian company for collecting 3 crore COVID-19 vaccine, and name of the Indian company is the Serum Institute of India. Remember this. And I already told you there is a Bangladesh company that is also known as the Beximco Pharmaceutical Limited. Remember, Bemsico Pharmaceutical Limited. Beximco. I am writing the name so that there will be no confusion. Beximco. Beximco. So remember, you can see here also that this AZD 1222 vaccine is at the final stage of development at the University of Oxford, and that is the AstraZeneca. So this is the parent company of the Serum Institute of India, because Serum Institute of India is licensed by this company, that is the AstraZeneca or the AstraZeneca. Remember this. Don't remember this name, but remember the Serum Institute of India. Initially, 1.5 crore people of Bangladesh will be vaccinated by this vaccine, and each person required 2 doses of the vaccine. And this is the manufacturing of the AZD 1220, and the entire quantity of vaccines will be delivered within the 6 months, and it will be provided by the Serum Institute of India and one institute from the Bangladesh, that is the BPL. It is not below poverty line, guys. It is the Beximco Pharmaceuticals Limited. And what about the Serum Institute of India? That is most important question of this news. Bangladesh is important, but the Serum Institute of India is most important because they are basically preparing so much vaccines in India for different type of the viruses or the diseases. And the headquarter of the Serum Institute of India, that is the Pune or the Pune, Maharashtra. And who is the CEO? CEO, you can remember, that is the Poonawalla, C Poonawalla or other C Poonawalla. You can remember by any name because the company belongs to the Pune, Maharashtra. That's why the CEO is the Poonawalla. Remember, so you can remember by the correlating. And also the chairman name is also the Poonawalla, but he is different Poonawalla. That is the Cyrus S. Poonawalla. So remember, there is lot of confusion in this question. So examiner can ask, guys, because there are 2 Poonawallas. One is the Adar Poonawalla, that is the CEO, or the Adar Poonawalla. Second is the chairman, that is the Cyrus S. Poonawalla. You can remember by the name of the virus Cyrus. So you can remember that is the chairman. So virus Cyrus is the chairman and CEO is the Adar Poonawalla. So you can remember by this. Now, let's move to next question, and remember about Bangladesh Prime Minister is the Sheikh Hasina, President is Abdul Hamid, capital is the Dhaka, and currency is the Bangladeshi Taka. I think all you remember that is the capital is the Bangladeshi Taka. So, moving to next question. 5th Joint Working Group on Coal held virtually between India and which country? It means there was a meeting between India and a country for the coal production and the coal sustainability. So this joint group was co-chaired from India side by Vinod Kumar Tiwari, no need to remember the name of the person, and from the country of the Indonesia. So, and this answer is belongs to the Indonesia, guys. Remember, and it is attended by the director of the mineral and coal from the Indonesia side, that is the Johnson Pakpan. But no need to remember the name, just remember the country is India and Indonesia, and they are basically working on the mineral resources that is basically related to the coal production and the coal sustainability. So these are the two very important things in this question, but otherwise this question is not so much important. And what about Indonesia, guys? Indonesia president is Joko Widodo. Remember, this is important, asked in so many exams. Capital is Jakarta, and the currency is the Indonesian rupiah, IDR, rupiah. Now you can see here, fifth joint working group on coal between India and Indonesia. Move to next question. NPCI, that is the National Payment Corporation of India, gives approval to which application to go live on UPI in India? It means they can basically use the UPI applications in India, and these are the four options given to you, and you have to tell me which is using the UPI facility or which can use the UPI facility in the India. And there is one more important thing in this question, I will tell you after this, and the answer is, guys, WhatsApp. Now WhatsApp Pay, or you can say WhatsApp or the WhatsApp Pay, that is the same thing. WhatsApp Pay now can use the unified payment interface, that is the UPI, in multi-bank model in India. They are already using in the different countries, but now in India they can use the UPI system. But there is one more important thing. You can see in the picture that Payment Corporation gives note to WhatsApp to go live on the UPI. But one more important thing, that NPCI has issued a cap of 30% on the total transaction volume on the UPI network of all third-party app providers. It means like WhatsApp, WhatsApp is the third-party app provider. It means they can only capitalize the market. They can use all the transactions, just about the 30% of the total transactions. So this is very important. And this will affect from the 1st Jan 2021. From the 1st Jan 2021, any company only can do the transactions up to 30%. If they occupied the 30% transactions all over India, then they have to stop the UPI interface. This is done because of the fraud, or the, you can say, the risk in the digital payment system. So this is the very important news, and guys, mark under most important. These two lines are very important, and the cap is the 30%. The examiner can ask. And Walmart owned PhonePe is the most used UPI app in India, and second number goes to the Google Pay, guys. By Google Pay, you can also use this type of the facility, that is the UPI system. And what about the NPCI? That is again important, National Payment Corporation of India. Yesterday we also discussed about this. Headquarters in Mumbai, and managing director and CEO is the Dilip Asbe. Dilip Asbe. Remember this, very important person. NPCI. And remember, this cap is the 30%, and now WhatsApp can use the UPI interface. Move on to next question. Who enhanced foreign investment cap limit of the mutual funds? Earlier, the investment cap limit of the mutual funds is the $300 million. $300 million. It means the maximum to maximum market capitalization of the mutual funds can be the $300 million if the investment is related to the foreign investment. But now they are basically increasing, so that maximum to maximum foreign investment can be taken or can be utilized in the mutual funds. So this is basically by the SEBI, guys, because the foreign investment cap in the mutual funds is taken care by the SEBI, that is the Security Exchange Board of India. Remember, Security Exchange Board of India, and it was established in 1988, guys, but it became the statutory body in 1992. This question asked in so many exams, that SEBI established in 1988, but it becomes the statutory body in the 1992. And statutory body means it becomes an act in 1992. And who is the chairman of SBI? That is most important. SEBI's chairman is the Ajay Tyagi. Ajay Tyagi. And where is the headquarter of SEBI? That is the Mumbai, Maharashtra. So these are the three things. And market capitalization under the foreign investment cap limit under mutual fund is the $600 million. So you can see here, SEBI enhances foreign investment cap of mutual funds up to $600 million. Earlier it was $300 million. Very simple question. You can remember just by the question. As I announced, as you remember. Move to next question. Who becomes New Zealand first ever Indian origin minister? Very important question, guys. Mark under very important section. That she becomes New Zealand first ever Indian origin minister. And this news was covered by almost by every newspaper. So this is very important. And the name of this girl is, or lady is, the Priyanka Radhakrishnan. Remember Priyanka Radhakrishnan, basically was born in Tamil Nadu, and Priyanka belongs to the state of the Kerala, but she was born in the Tamil Nadu. So remember Priyanka Radhakrishnan, first Indian origin minister of the New Zealand. Remember Priyanka Radhakrishnan of the New Zealand, and Priyanka was appointed as the Minister for Community and the Voluntary Sector, that comes under the Ministry of Diversity, Inclusion and Ethnic Communities, and also Ministry of Youth. So this is also important, that first minister from India in the New Zealand, that is Indian origin in the New Zealand, and which ministry comes under this Priyanka Radhakrishnan, that is the Minister for the Community and the Voluntary Sector, and this is the Ministry for Diversity, Inclusion and Ethnic Community, and Ministry of Youth. So remember this. And she was also appointed as the Associate Minister for the Social Development and Employment. You can also remember this also. And Priyanka hails from the, I already told you, from the Kerala, that is the Ernakulam district, and she was born in the Chennai, Tamil Nadu. She belongs to the New Zealand Labour Party, that is the current party under which the Prime Minister is the Jacinda Ardern. So remember Jacinda Ardern. She is currently the Prime Minister of the New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, Ardern, Jacinda Ardern. And capital is the Wellington, and currency is the New Zealand dollar, guys. And this is very important, New Zealand country. And party is the Labour Party. And name of the person is the Priyanka Radhakrishnan. And Minister of Youth, Minister of Diversity, Minister of Community and the Voluntary Sector. And she was born in Tamil Nadu but belongs to the Kerala. So these are the 3 or 4 points that are very important. Next, who was appointed as the first chairperson of the Commission for Air Quality Management in NCR and adjoining areas. So again, this is very important because of the stubble burning. There is a lot of pollution in the NCR areas and the adjoining areas like Punjab, Haryana. So that's why there is a committee, and the head of this committee is the, yes guys, head of this committee is the M.M. Kuti. So remember, M.M. Kuti becomes the chairman of the Air Quality Management Committee, and is the first chairperson of this committee. And this air pollution, or the you can say this environment affected committee is for the NCR areas and the adjoining areas. So remember this. And MMR Kuti is very famous, and he was former secretary of the Ministry of Petroleum and the Natural Gas. So no need to remember all the things, just remember MM Kuti. And you have to remember also one more thing, that the time period of the members of this committee will be 3 years. Members of this committee will be 3 years, and the maximum age can be 70 years. So this also is very important. Members time period is the 3 year, and maximum age of retirement is the 70 years. And this committee chairman is the MM Kuti. Remember. You can see the picture of MM Kuti, former Delhi Chief Secretary MM Kuti, to be the chairperson of Air Quality Commission. This commission is, guys, very important. There are some full-time technical members, there are non-government members, there are ex officio members, there are 9 ex officio members, and there is some selection panel is also there. The selection panel comes under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, that is the Prakash Javadekar ji. And they are basically engaging because it is related to the environment. That's why the selection panel comes under the Prakash Javadekar. So this is also important. Who becomes the first president of Hockey India from the Northeast region? So this is very important. That is the Hockey India. It is related to the Hockey India. It is related to the national team of hockey. And this time the president elected from the Northeast region. That is very important. And the answer is very simple. And by option you can take. That is the Gyanendra Ningomba. Remember, only first initials are very important. That is the Gyanendra. Second is the Ningomba, and he belongs to the northeastern area. And he is the first president of the Hockey India from the northeast region of India. Northeast region consists of the 7 states. That stands for the A square, M cube, and T. M stands for the Meghalaya, Mizoram, Manipur. A stands for Arunachal Pradesh and Assam. N stands for Nagaland. T stands for the Tripura. So these 7 states are basically part of the 7 sisters known as the northeastern states. And the Gyanendra basically belongs to this northeastern area. And you can also remember that 10th Hockey India Congress and elections held on the 6th of November. And he officially took charge as a president of the Hockey India. And earlier it was this position was with Mohammad Mushtaq Ahmed. So remember, Mohammed Mushtaq Ahmed was basically the vice president. Now he becomes the senior vice president because Mohammed Mushtaq Ahmed recently in the July or August he submitted resignation. That's why Gyanendra elected as the president. So remember this. So you have to remember one more thing, that where is the headquarter of Hockey India? That is the New Delhi. President, I already told you, that is the Gyanendra, formed in 2009, and it is affiliated to the International Hockey Federation, and it also affiliated from the Indian Olympic Association. That is again very important. So you can see here 10th Hockey India Congress and elections, Gyanendra Nigomban elected as the president of Hockey India. Guys, most important question, mark under the most important section. Next question, which bank acquires 57,743 shares in CSC e-governance service India? So this is not so much important question, but you can remember that name of the bank. That Axis Bank acquired some shares, like 57,000 share almost, in the CSC e-governance services India Limited, almost by 36 crore. That total amount the Axis Bank paid, that is the 36 crore, almost 36 crore, and the transaction is for 9.91% shares, 9.91% shares in the CSC e-governance system. So what is the CSC e-governance system? That is important. It is a special purpose vehicle by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology under the Companies Act of 1956 to oversee implementation of the common services scheme by the center government. So all the center government schemes, which are basically, you can say, the digital accessibility, that can be implemented through the CSC center, so that minimum to minimum governance, by the minimum governance, you can reach the maximum to maximum people, and it can be reached to the rural area also. And this time it is the Axis Bank, guys, Axis Bank, remember. And this time the bank is Axis. So guys, remember this. And Axis Bank, CSC Governance Services India, Axis Bank to acquire 36 crore, that is the amount shares, that is almost 57,000 shares, or in percentage it is 9.9%, almost 9.9%. And guys, what about Axis Bank? This is very important. It is founded in 1993, headquarters in Mumbai, Maharashtra. Who is the managing director and CEO? Yesterday we also covered this news. That is Amitabh Chaudhary. Remember, Amitabh Chaudhary is currently the CEO and MD of the Axis Bank. And what is the tagline of Axis Bank? That is the Badhti ka naam Jindagi. That is the tagline of the Axis Bank. Now move on to next question. Which state government signs agreement with the Tata Technology to upgrade 150 government IITs? So this is not IITs, it is ITIs. So remember this. So I am talking about the which state government basically. ITI stand for the Industrial Training Institute. That state government is the state government of Karnataka. Remember, state government of Karnataka entered into an agreement with the Tata Technologies to upgrade and modernize 150 government ITIs. That is the Industrial Training Institute, and they are investing almost 4,600 crore rupees. But no need to remember the amount. Just remember they are basically modernizing the 150 government Industrial Training Institute, so that maximum to maximum employment opportunities will be given to the youth of the state, only given to the Karnataka youth, because it is initiative of Karnataka government. That's why by default the opportunity will be given to the youth of the Karnataka. And each ITI will be upgraded at a cost of 30 crore rupees, 30 crore rupees almost, and duration of the agreement is 10 years, guys, 10 years and 9 months. It means almost 11 years. So no need to remember, because if you belongs to the Karnataka state, then it is very important that what is the time period of this agreement, but otherwise it is not so much important. Karnataka is, guys, very important, because in Karnataka you can say there is a Nagarhole National Park, there is a Bannerghatta National Park. This is very important. There is a Kudremukh National Park. Kudremukh mines of iron ore is also famous. That is very important. Hampi festival is celebrated in the Karnataka. Hampi festival, also known as the Vijay Utsav. Kambala festival or the Kambala festival, Karnataka Rajya Utsav, that is also very important. So these are the all things important in the Karnataka, guys. And Karnataka is number 1 in the coffee production also. So remember Karnataka is very important. You can see in the picture, Karnataka government signs agreement with the Tata Consultancies or the Tata Technologies to upgrade 150 government ITIs at the cost of 4,600 crore almost. And Chief Minister is the Yediyurappa. Remember this also. Move to next question, and it is from the picture that International Day for Preventing the Exploitation of the Environment in War and Armed Conflict, that is on the 6th of November 2020. So guys, why is this type of day celebrated? That is International Day for Prevention the Exploitation of the Environment in War and Armed Conflict. It means when two countries are in the war, then they are destructing the environment also. So to prevent the environment, there is a day to observe, that is the day for preventing the exploitation of the environment. So it is important, and it is just to raise the awareness on the need to protect the environment during the armed conflict. And not so much important day, but you have to remember this is on the 6th of November 2020. 6th of November 2020, and it is basically observed by United Nations of Environment Program. So one thing is very important: UNEP, United Nations Environment Program. Executive Director is the Inger Anderson. Remember, INGER. Inger Anderson is the Executive Director of this United Nations Environment Program. And who is the where is the headquarter of the United Nations Environment Program? That is Nairobi. If you are continuously watching video, then in one video I covered this news. That is Nairobi, Kenya. That is headquarter of UNEP. Now moving to next question: which state government launched Green Innovation Fund? Again, this is to protect the environment. So many initiatives are going on to protect the environment. And recently, solar power will be provided to the airport. That is again important. Now there is a day for the destruction of the environment when two countries are in the war. Third, you can say the state government is also launching the Green Innovation Fund. It is basically the startup fund, and it should be invested to the green environment. This is main function of this Green Environment Fund. And guys, this state is very literate state, that is Kerala. In the recently under the literacy survey, Kerala ranks the first and Andhra Pradesh ranks the worst state in the literacy. And now it is the Kerala. We discussed Kerala 2 times today, but this time again it is Kerala. Green Innovation Fund. Remember, this Green Innovation Fund is 6-month long fund linked accelerator program for social impact startups. So it is very important. And I already told you about all the things about Kerala. So remember all the things that are the national parks, festival, I already told you, that is Kerala. Green Innovation Fund, powered acceleration program by the United Nations Development Program for social impact startups launched in Kerala. Move to next question, and it is from picture and learn from picture series that Public Investment Fund invest 9,555 crore rupees for 2.04 stake in the Reliance Retail. It means 2% of the stake purchased by the Public Investment Fund under the Reliance Retail. So this is just to remember that I told you this is just question covered from the picture. Now moving to next question, and it is just a question, not a picture. Which city topped Niti Aayog aspirational district of September 2020? So this is not so much important question, because in every month there is an index related to the aspirational district. Aspirational districts are those districts which are deprived from many facilities. So we selected these aspirational districts so that we can revive this district as the number 1 districts. So remember this. And on that index in the September 2020, one district from the Uttar Pradesh, that is the Chandauli district of the Uttar Pradesh, ranked the top district of the aspirational district. So remember. And Bokaro is the 2nd district, and Purbi Singhbhum, that is the 3rd district, and Sonbhadra is the 4th district. Sonbhadra is in the UP also, and 3rd basically is the Singhbhum. Singhbhum is in Jharkhand. Bokaro is also in Jharkhand. So remember, Chandauli is important. If you belongs to UP, then it is so much important. Otherwise, for the national affairs, it is not so much important, because this index comes every month. So that's why it is not so much important. But you can remember that is the Chandauli district of the Uttar Pradesh. Now let's move to the important points to remember, that are the one-liner questions. RBI announced co-lending model for banks and NBFCs for priority sector lending. So RBI so many times defined the priority sector lending, that some money should be given to the priority sector lending, like BPL families, like agriculture laborers, and like MSMEs, some MSMEs. So there is a priority sector lending fixed by the RBI. Almost 40% of the money, there is a less money for the foreign banks, but 40% money should be invested in the priority sector lending, and this is by the RBI. Now moving to next. Joint coastal security exercise Sagar Kavach held at Paradip Coast, Odisha. So remember this, that is the Sagar Kavach. So this is important, guys, Sagar Kavach. and it is held in Paradip coast of the Odisha state. Odisha is very famous. That is Similipal Biosphere Reserve is in Odisha. Bhitarkanika National Park also in Odisha. There are olive turtle protection or conservation is also in Odisha. Paradip Port, that is also in Odisha. Now there is a exercise, that is the Sagar Kavach, also in Odisha, guys. It was carried out by the state government of Odisha, and the neighboring state of Odisha is the West Bengal, guys. So Sagar Kavach basically carried out by the two state governments, that is Odisha and the West Bengal. So more than 10 departments, including the Indian Navy, Indian Coast Guard, Odisha Police, local fishermen, West Bengal Police, West Bengal Department. So all the departments basically jointly conducted this exercise. Very important. And Odisha, all you know that Chief Minister is Naveen Patnaik and West Bengal Chief Minister is the Mamata Banerjee. And next, third is the Virtual India CEO Forum, Climate Change, chaired by Union Minister Prakash Javadekar. No need to remember, it is related to the environment. The Minister of Environment is Prakash Javadekar. So remember these things, just basic things. Let's move to next section. Not to remember, just read that Prime Minister Narendra Modi visit Gujarat from 30 to 31st of October 2020. So again, no need to remember, but you can visit our website and can see this news that Prime Minister Narendra Modi visit to Gujarat. So guys, this is all for today, and guys, subscribe our channel if you like this video and press the bell button so that every notification come to you directly. And guys, provide 700 likes. We changed the now motivation, that is 700 likes, guys. That is the YouTube likes, so that we can make more content on the more different areas like polity, history, economics, and the geography. So provide guys 700 likes. And guys, it is Affairs Cloud promise that it will boost your confidence in the general awareness section. And it is my personal promise that if you're watching the videos, then your current affairs section will go strong. And if you're reading PDFs, then your current affair section not only go strong, it will also improve at that extent that 90% question you can correct in your exam. That is very important. And guys, thank you for watching this video and take care.